And with that, welcome to Balibagan with Matt and JR. This is our review of PWR Live Homefront 2018. We start with the pre-show, Makata, Samoan Papa, and Ninja versus the team of Brad Cruz and his surprise partners, Revo Ranger and Bolt. So in the previous show, Renaissance, Brad Cruz came out with Samoan Papa to supposedly face Makata and Ninja, but Samoan Papa turned on him, so it was essentially 3-on-1. In the lead up to this show, Homefront, Brad Cruz was looking for partners against the trio, and then Rev Ranger approached him, so we have this surprise partner supposedly. And results na? Oh. Kasi yun na yun eh. Na-pin ni Bolt si...
Wala ba talagang nangyari sa match? O sobrang hindi lang talaga tayo interested?
Hindi siya entertaining na match eh. Parang talagang pre-show lang siya.
Pwede actually, hindi ko na...
Pwede yun na yun. After the match, Brad Cruz chased off the trio of heels. Then, the newly formed stable of the Endgame, Apocalypse, Jan Evander, PWD, and Super Nintendo came out to attack Rev Ranger and Bolt. I guess this is kind of their blow-off. In the next show, Shake, Ras and Roll, the Endgame will be challenging for some titles. Super Nintendo and Jan Evander will be challenging the Naughty Boys for the Tag Team Championships. And Apocalypse will be challenging AB3 for the All Out War Championship. And now, we move on to the main show. First match was John Sebastian versus Robin Sane for John Sebastian's 50% ownership of PWR.
Before we knew that the match was gonna be the first match, we were kind of hoping that Robin Sane would win the match to make an invasion angle thing. But since it was the first match, that obviously signaled
John Sebastian would
that
win.
Sebastian would win. So it suddenly became uninteresting. I mean, like, skill-wise, yeah, you still want to see them wrestle, but like storyline-wise, you kind of know what's gonna happen. So my issue with this match is it could have been more interesting if they had it maybe third to the last or second to the last in the card.
As he said, it was a solid match, but yeah, it was a bit disappointing that nothing happened with the MWF crossover.
Which is purely speculative, by the way. I mean,
there was no confirmation that would happen. But...
I mean, and it's not really something that we're expecting. I mean, wrestlers are wrestling between the two promotions, but we don't really expect a crossover or anything anytime soon.
But it would be cool.
It's just that it would be cool.
John Sebastian won the match by pinfall when he countered 450 splash from Robin Sane, and he hit Robin Sane with a kill shot. So next we have a singles match between Main Max accompanied by Mr. C and Dax Saveria. Saveria, whatever. Dax, yun. So, before the match itself, I actually noticed that during Dax's entrance, he had a bit of change in character. He was carrying around Arnie's stick and talking to it. Kind of like Al Snow to head. So, it was a straightforward match. Dax defeated Main Max, which was, I guess, an upset since Main Max was in the main event of Renaissance.
We don't know if Dax has been in...
Well, he's been challenging for the PHX.
We actually are not...
Ay, hindi. All Out War pala, sorry. Hindi pala PHX. All Out War.
Yeah, and then we don't even know if that, like, if it's really a character change or if he changes characters all the time. So those are things that are not too obvious for people just kind of starting to watch.
I guess we'll find out as we watch more.
So that's why we need this show.
Yeah. Finish came about when Dax attacked Mr. C, then distracted the referee with his Arnie stick. Then he used a second Arnie stick to attack Main Max's... Basta yung injured knee.
Injured knee.
Yeah. His injured knee to get the pinfall. Next match, the YOLO Twins versus Grab Camus and Kapitan Tutan of the Naughty Boys. The YOLO Twins came out in civilian attire because they were protesting the fact that they were in this match rather than in a tag team championship match. When they were talking about their clothes, the crowd started chanting Divisoria and Green Hills.
They were actually mentioning how their clothes were worth this and that.
Yeah, 4,000
a lot
pesos, whatever.
And then
They were actually constantly saying that throughout the match when they would get slammed. 4,000 pesos! We actually thought that it would be a squash match with the Naughty Boys team winning, but the complete opposite happened.
well, it started looking like a squash match with the Naughty Boys dominating, but then
Yeah, I guess since you can't really say that they're the better team, but the YOLO
the
Twins,
favorites, at
yeah,
least.
the favorites in the match, the YOLO Twins won with their finisher, the 2-night stand on Crab Camus by pinfall. Then afterwards, one of them, I'm not sure if it was Johan or the other one, whatever. Ano ba pangalan ng isa? Ayun, so one of them got on the microphone and declared that we would see the YOLO Twins again.
Good show of skill from the YOLO Twins wrestling with
Essentially formal attire.
jeans and formal
Polos.
leather shoes.
Yeah, leather
So,
shoes.
especially with the
As
clothes.
characters, you don't like them. di ba?
Pero, no, but
You-
it's with the clothes, it's with specifically those clothes. I mean, that's
you have to
something-
respect that. Yeah. So next match was Ken Warren versus Crystal for Ken's PHX Championship rematch, and this match happened because in the aftermath of Renaissance, Crystal was, I guess, fighting with John Sebastian. Then Ken came in asking for a PHX Championship rematch. Then out of annoyance, John Sebastian just had them face each other.
Who is the GM for
Yeah,
people
sorry.
who are not familiar with the current story?
For most of the match, Ken was apprehensive to face Crystal because I guess he's a gentleman or whatever. And he kept saying sorry. He wasn't really taking the match seriously. For most of the match, Ken was in control. But later on, Crystal would get the upper hand. But just as it seemed that she could possibly win, John Sebastian came out singing, "I want it that way." So they lost their titles in the previous show and then they were kind of rocky. So I guess John was trying to apologize to her.
Serenade her, I guess.
He inadvertently caused a distraction and Crystal was rolled up by Ken. So Ken retains his number one contendership to the PHX Championship.
The I want it that way part was a good gimmick, I guess, because it had the crowd singing along, which is why you watch live.
And even after the match, they were singing to Poch.
So I mean, it was a good gimmick, and it was also like a good reason to have Crystal lose without having Ken hurt her.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, if he were that hell bent on getting the title that he would hurt a girl, then that kind of makes
Him a heel.
him a heel. So I guess that's why they had to
Yeah.
create something that would do that, which it does accomplish. So
Next, we have former partners turned enemies, Mike Madrigal versus Vlad Sinsik,
Tito Vlad.
and the Kupal King himself. I was actually proud during Mike's entrance. He gave me the finger because I was booing him. In my opinion, this is actually one of the more intense matches because of their history. Both men actually hit their finishers, but the other man kicked out of them. Mike Madrigal defeated Vlad Sinsik when the referee stopped the match when Vlad passed out in a sleeper. So next we have the first championship match of the night. The Naughty Boys of Trian De La Torre and Evan Carlo defending their PWR Tag Team Championships against the Kakay Bros, Marky, and Kendrick. The Naughty Boys came out with Jemerlin while well, the Kakay Bros came out with their usual posse of hype beasts, Jejemons, whatever you want to call
Or
them.
Jologs, depending on what year you're watching this from.
Before the match, Kendrick declared that handa na siya magpaligaw kay Jemerlin. #KenMerlin. They even had a tarp, but Jemerlin was obviously kind of uninterested, yeah.
Creeped out. I had my money on the Kakay Bros though. I mean, but I guess most of the crowd wanted.
Yeah, actually, it was kind of surprising that
I actually
Naughty Boys were way more over than the Kakay Bros.
because I thought it would be like a split thing, but apparently people like the Naughty Boys a lot more.
Just as the Kakay Bros were getting the win, one of the hype beasts pulled the referee out and it was revealed to be the YOLO Twins in disguise. The YOLO Twins broke up the pinfall, then Marky chased off the YOLO Twins which would then lead to
The kidnapping angle where
Yeah.
the YOLO twins abducted Marky.
Mm-hmm.
And
in the end, the Naughty Boys hit their finisher and retained their titles. So after the match, I'm not sure if he was going to attack Kendrick or whatever, but Trian was approaching Kendrick, then Jermelin kind of defended Kendrick. It's possible that will be a storyline, love thing between Kendrick and Jermelin. I don't know, or maybe it's a one-time thing.
Ken Merlin.
So next match was for the All Out War Championship between Alexander Belmonte III, aka the Warlord, against Mainstream Mahaba, accompanied by RT, of course, in a baking pan match.
I just find it weird that Mahaba always accompanies Imabayashi, but
Imabayashi doesn't come out.
Yeah, doesn't come out for Mahaba. I mean, we don't really want to see more of that, but it's still.
So being the only actual hardcore match of the night, this is actually the most hard-hitting match, with even some strikes to the head with the baking pans. Around almost at the end of the match, Mahaba was supposedly injured, so they called in the paramedics and everything. It was kind of obvious to us that it was an acting job. It's a commentary in wrestling, basically.
Yeah.
Mainstream Mahaba showed off his acting skills and attacked him from behind, but in the end, the Warlord prevailed. He just used the weapons, basically.
Yeah.
Then pinned him.
RT helped in the match, I think,
Oh yeah, he
which was,
he sort of got involved, but he was taken out pretty quickly by Warlord.
Warlord.
So next we have Mortivo versus Sandata. Mortivo defeated Sandata with a unique roll-up of a Russian leg sweep. It's kind of hard to explain, but basically Russian leg sweep, then pin. So after the match, Mr. C came out, offered his managerial services to Sandata. Sandata ends up joining the Mr. C group of talents, aka MSG.
The win from Martibo didn't feel like it was anything because the highlight was Sandata losing and then getting invited to MSG. So, because Martibo won and just left.
Mm-hmm.
Like there wasn't. It was weird.
There was no big celebration. Or
how he
whatever.
just left. Like,
Yeah, unlike his win over Panzer, where he was basically almost crying in the ring, and then
yeah, stuff like that. So
And then we move on to the next title match, which we actually thought would be the main event. Ralph Imabayashi defending his PWR championship against Quattro, and of course, Ralph was accompanied by Mainstream Mahaba and RT, while Quattro received an introduction from his former group, the Secret Council of Trabajadores. Trabajador Supremo introduced, according to him, his greatest protege, Joseph Vivian Quattro. It was actually weird that after their introduction, they left. They didn't even stay to at least support him.
it was more weirder for me that I thought the shadow group were heels.
Throughout the match, Quattro was actually a massive underdog because it was essentially 3-on-1. Including RT, yes. Uy, nakatulong pa rin naman si RT kahit paano.
I mean, RT is RT greater than Ralph.
After a ref bump, Mainstream Mahaba and RT got involved. They got a title, and they were going to hit him with the title. Just as Mahaba was going to hit Quattro with the title, Quattro sidestepped, and Mahaba hit Ralph.
The belt thing happening mid match it felt a bit early. Like
Okay.
it's normally something that would lead to the end of the match.
So Mahaba hit Ralph with the belt, then Quattro took out Mahaba, then RT actually tried to attack Quattro, but to no avail. But he did distract him so that Ralph would get the advantage again. So following that miscommunication, Quattro hit his Destino and went for the pin. The referee actually counted to 3. Everyone was celebrating, and I actually got off my.
No, there were a lot of things that happened. The crowd being riled up started with the power bomb where you had like power bomb na nakataas yung binti ni Quattro pagbagsak, diba?
Oh.
So ano yun? It's sort of like a power bomb.
Yeah.
No, but aside from the jumping part, the elevation before bringing down Imabayashi was really high. Like they had to jump up or something to bring Imabayashi to that height before doing the whatever it was. That started the whole crowd getting really excited and wild about what was happening.
Quattro hit his Destino, and then the ref counted to 3. Everyone was celebrating, but then the ref jumped out of the ring and restarted the match because apparently one of Ralph's feet was under the ropes.
Which it was.
So after the match restart, Ralph defeated Quattro by pinfall with pinning combination that capable. Quattro didn't really have a choice once he was in it.
Yeah, I mean, the match was really great starting from that power bomb, but before that,
Yeah, I could probably say that it was possibly the match of the night.
yeah, but just starting from that
Yeah.
power bomb, because as you probably already know, I hate Imabayashi matches because nothing against him. I'm sure he's a great wrestler, but so boring. Or maybe it's a marketing trick where you make the early part really boring so people would.
Well, it's because he's a really technical wrestler because that's kind of his gimmick and yeah.
And he's trying to imply that I don't like him because I don't like Daniel Bryan. I hate Daniel Bryan, but I'm a fan of Bret Hart, which nullifies the I hate technical wrestling part.
But in fairness, this was a bit more exciting than the usual Ralph Obayashi match. So after the match, Mahaba got the mic and they were about to do their usual spiel, usual celebration, whatever. I guess they were supposed to announce an opponent, whatever. But then Ralph took the mic from Mahaba and then essentially blamed Mahaba for nearly costing him numerous matches. He even said that the biggest threat to his title was not his opponents, but Mahaba. Well, from
recent
what we've
matches.
seen, Mahaba doesn't really help much.
At all. RT helped more. So,
So yeah, I guess they were kind of teasing a bit of dissension between MT and H. One of my theories is Mahaba will actually turn face eventually and he will challenge Ralph unless Ralph loses the title before then. So they had their argument, then Mahaba left the ring, then Mask Assailant came from behind and hit Ralph with a kendo stick, and it was revealed to be Mike Madrigal, and with that he basically signaled that he wanted to challenge for the belt, and he actually got cheered.
it was actually a bold but effective move for PWR because
Yeah.
I mean, it's really hard to make Madrigal a face,
Mhm.
but I guess this doesn't really make him a face per se, but it gives him the Stone Cold vibe where he just
Mhm.
goes after anyone,
Yeah.
and people actually cheer for him.
And it got us to buy these shirts.
So with that, people actually started cheering for Madrigal.
And then they were chanting Kupal at Imabayashi.
Chanting Kupal, period. Because this, like what we were talking about earlier, this could be like the Kurt Angle thing where even if you're cheering for Angle, you
still chant, "You suck." Yeah.
The question here is like, do we change the chant or do we keep saying Kupal even if we're cheering for Madrigal, which wouldn't matter. But anyway,
Well-
if they make this work, then he gets that Stone Cold vibe, which even the other promotions couldn't get to work anymore. Like even WWE gave up on trying to do that. But
To
if
Randy
they,
Orton and
to Orton and whoever. But if they do get to pull it off here, then that will really be
yeah, he could
awesome.
basically be a badass who comes in and kicks everyone's ass.
But he needs a cool finisher, like stunner everyone.
So next we have the first match was billed as a battle of rock bottoms, but for me it's kind of more of battle of the foggy. Chris Panzer versus Lady Killer from Singapore. I guess this is the biggest match for the ladies in the audience. Panzer lost the first match over in Singapore. I guess this is a rematch. Panzer defeated Lady Killer after a rock bottom and then an eagle splash. Hindi ko alam kung ano tawag dun sa rock bottom niya pero rock bottom na lang.
Kaya may Battle of the Rock Bottoms.
Oh, kasi pareho silang rock bottom finisher.
Well, technically, Lady Killer din naman si Dwayne Johnson, pero...
So we move on to our main event, Jake De Leon versus Tengu for the PHX Championship. JDL was targeting Tengu's left arm and Tengu was targeting JDL's right leg. They were both going for the technicals and then there was also some striking and a bit of high flying.
the usual JDL stuff, which...
Well, Tengu is a bit unique because he has this mystique where he's...
And the cross-leg Japanese...
Yeah. If you watch NXT, Aleister Black also does that. JDL defeated Tengu by submission after 2 Alipin drops and then locking him in the Inasal lock or the chicken wing.
We're sure it was the Inasal
Inasal lock.
lock before, but then in Renaissance,
Yeah.
JDL shouted chicken wing before doing that. So I guess they might have changed it. I don't know.
Tengu tapped out and JDL retained his title. What I observed from the PWR audience, when an international wrestler is wrestling, they don't really know what to chant.
What makes watching wrestling live without commentators is joining the chants and stuff like that. And the problem with with the Lady Killer match and this match specifically is that people were very, very quiet. I think that's something that the promoters need to consider. It's a great match.
It's a good match. Yeah.
But people seem to be enjoying it less, I think. Or at least people who go there for the chance. What would you have liked more? A JDL versus Tengu match or a JDL versus Lucha match?
Well, we have a bit of bias because we watched the MWF show.
I think people would like to see the crossover matches with other promotions more than that.
But I guess there is some value to getting those
I mean,
international
there
wrestlers.
is, because you get to compare how good they are versus our relatively inexperienced talent, but you're not really going to the shows expecting WWE level
Yeah, of
wrestling
course.
anyway. So
After the match, JDL went up to Tengu to shake his hand. Then Tengu bowed to him, so they started bowing to each other. Tengu essentially turned on him, so he hit JDL with that knee. Then he was attacking him. Surprisingly, Ken Warren came out to make the save, but then Ken took the PHX title and was supposed to hit JDL. Panzer came out, convincing him that he's not that man anymore. What I actually didn't get, why did Panzer have to come out and everything? Although
it was obviously to set up the triple threat match, but were they tag team partners or something?
basically we don't get the connection why
With
Panzer came
Warren
out.
and Panzer specifically. Again, that's because maybe because we don't know the complete history. We researched as much as we could, but not everything, obviously. So
Then when JDL came too, he super kicked both Ken Warren and Chris Panzer.
he was saying, "Akin to."
Yeah, he was.
In his usual heel frantic.
So yeah, so that sequence sets up the match, triple threat match between JDL, Ken Warren, and Chris Panzer for the PHX Championship. So some general comments about the show, I guess. Obviously, it was less awesome than the Renaissance show because that's kind of like a big four pay-per-view.
Things that happened in the Imabayashi match were really big things. I guess the reason why the JDL Tengu thing was the main event title match is because of Tengu.
Well, the whole show is Homefront, defending the Philippines and everything.
Yeah,
Well, they put the two matches with international stars as the last two matches, so...
but it just so happened that the biggest match was the PWR match, which reinforces my point that the people watching PWR are people who are in it because they want to watch the local wrestlers. Because like that they weren't gonna give the title to Tengu, I guess, right?
Well, it's possible, but
But
unlikely, I guess. Other than the pre-show match, which shouldn't really count in the grade, there were no really bad matches. I mean, there were some
Yeah, sure.
boring matches, but
Big.
Martiva versus Sandata, which, while not a bad match,
I think we were getting Martibo fatigue already with like PWR and MWF.
there weren't really any bad matches. There were no botches. For me, it was positive. Most of the matches on the card seemed to hold some weight. There was something at stake, whether it be a championship or a rematch or the ownership of PWR. So to give the show a grade, I would give it a B.
Which is not that bad. I mean, a B is good.
The only really big pop of the night was during the Imabayashi Quattro match and the aftermath. There weren't really any bad spots other than the pre-show. It was an entertaining show.
I would give it a C+. I would give it a higher grade if it weren't for these two things. Number one is this guy, which I guess is a cameraman or something. He's shooting or taking photos with his phone and just stands there afterwards blocking the view for everyone. And he actually looks like he's just texting. I know he's looking at photos to see if they're great. You just don't take photos and then just block everyone's view. I mean, like, crouch, don't be lazy. And the other thing is, you notice how much dust the ring has? Hikain ka dun eh. I mean, like, come on guys, how hard is it para mag-vacuum or something? I mean, like,
Hindi ba siya parang added effect or whatever?
if it is, it's not. Malagkit ka pag uwi. I mean, like, MWF's ring's not like that, so.
Or dahil wala lang spotlight on the ring.
It's
Or...
not. Because that's the first thing I trying to figure out. Like, is that really what happens to wrestling rings? And then like, well, let's see.
Dahil-
MWF's ring and it
Yeah,
wasn't.
okay.
So come on, guys. Vacuum cleaner.
So yeah, so it was a good show. B,
So that
B, C+.
averages,
Yeah.
averages like a B-, I guess. So
So yeah, so that was our review of PWR Live Homefront 2018. If you liked the video, give us a like. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you in the next video.